We have a few other of us that came in late. There's John Roberson. I'd like to have him come up, and also Ned Early. Is there anybody else I'm forgetting from the 417th? Where's that John Roberson? Come up here. How about Ned Early? Oh, you're all hiding. Now, when we were there, you know, and the real night fighters left, there had to be replacements for different things. I went to radar, John went to, I think he was a mechanic, and Ned here, he ran the orderly room and played the piano. So I'm going to let them tell their stories now. And both of you, right here. First, Ned.
Well, I'm just like Rich there, washed out cadet. Basic training did that. But then I was told, you know, since I went in the cadet program, you know, we're average intelligence, presumably. We could go to any school we wanted to. So that sounded pretty good. Except I went through this interview, and the only thing left that was open, available, was armament school. So I went to armament school at Lowry Field, played with 20 millimeters, 30 caliber machine guns, 50 caliber machine guns, and managed to graduate from that. Then I got to go to another school, gunnery school. So I went to Las Vegas, Nevada, to become a B-17 gunner. And finally got through that. And then I was shipped to Kingman, Arizona, to await being assigned a crew to go overseas, and ended up going to gunnery school again. So I went through that, and then I think ended up back at Las Vegas to go to B-29 gunnery school. So but they didn't have enough B-29s. So they had B-29 fire control equipment installed in B-24s. And we went through gunnery school again. And I think about that time, must have been late March of 45. And I think I was sent to I got caught in the library during working hours and had to go to south rim of the Grand Canyon. There was an old 3C camp up there. And I was supposed to be revamped to become an R&R facility for guys returning from duty back from Japan. And we were up there a couple weeks, and really the camp was in pretty good shape. I think about all we had to do was replace 3 or 4 windows, wash all the windows, scrub the floors, paint the shacks. And then I think that about that time, President Roosevelt died, and we went back to Kingman, Arizona to stand a special retreat for Roosevelt. And then we were thinking about going home. You know, the war was over, at least in Europe. But I decided that I didn't really have enough points to go to college, so I re-enlisted for a year. And to do that, I think I got another stripe and became a corporal. And that was a really big increase in pay. So this was a re-enlistment for just a year, and we had our choice of going to Europe, Japan, or Panama. Well, the way the Army runs things, I knew if I said I wanted to go to Germany, they would send me someplace else. And so I checked a couple of guys that had done this, and that had happened. So I said I wanted to go to Panama, and ended up in Germany. Might have been on the same ship you were on. So I got to Rothweston, and I heard that this was a night fighter base, and the big thing about the night fighter was radar, so I can learn about radar. So I had to go to personnel, and I was really going to make the sales pitch to do this. And the guy looked at my service record and saw I got an A in typing, and I had the opportunity to stay right there in that office and work in personnel departments. And I was a little bit perturbed. But my family ended up in the orderly room. And I don't remember who the CO was at that time. But Hatcher was top sergeant. And he told me that my only duties were to do whatever he told me to do. And I think the first thing was to get coffee. And I told him that if he wanted coffee, he probably knew where it was, and he could go get his own coffee. So then I found out that I could do guard duty. So anyway, we got to typing up morning reports, and I really don't remember what in the world was in a morning report, except it was usually about 8.5 by 11 piece of paper full of details, and there dare not be typos. And sometimes a morning report was supposed to be handed in at 8 o'clock at headquarters. And sometimes it was free of error by 9:30. And so I don't know what happened for. I can remember typing long hours, but I don't remember what the stuff was. But I can remember, I kept a diary for several months. When I got your notification about this, I thought, well, I've got that diary. It's no big deal. And all I could find out in there was pinochle games, 8-ball, 9-ball, cribbage, and of course I met Mike and Bolinski, mostly playing pinochle. And then Scrappy Gosier became the boss. I don't know what happened to Hatcher. He was around, but he was never in the orderly room anymore. And I wanted to tell Mike, I was reading one of those volumes you had up in the room there. And the 417 apparently had a paper. Who did that?
I don't remember the person that wrote it, but every week there was a newspaper.
Well, I didn't remember that until I saw it in the room there. And I really wish that Mike had been able to join us, because he was manager of the softball team, and I was manager of the softball team. And I could remember a couple articles there where his team beat mine, like 12-1 or something like that. And the final thing we had my team. And I was also reading in the paper that Scrappy and I won the pinochle tournament against Bolinski and Glamour. So I wanted to tell him that I hope he'd done a good job on radar shack, because he certainly couldn't play pinochle. I remember we went to Fritzlar and then to Schweinfurt. And I don't remember a whole lot of the details of that. My work was the same. And apparently my night dive was the same. I didn't find any entries in the diary other than letters from Mom and letters from Mary, who I happened to marry. The reason I did this, we dated after a while. I was going to apply. She was in nurses training, and I decided to go to college. And the first day in college, I went to class, and I went to her graduation. Now that was about a 90-mile drive for me. So I went to class all day and still got there in time for her graduation, which was on a Saturday. And later on, we dated, and I was in college. She was working. She's the only one that had money. She wasn't making any money to speak of, but she saved everything she made. So I borrowed enough money from her to buy a car. I was tired of hitchhiking back and forth to school. So I borrowed $400 from her. And then married her, so I wouldn't have to pay her back.